Hey everybody, and hope everyone's doing well, of course, as usual. And thank you for watching. And if you haven't yet, subscribe and like the video, give it a thumbs up. And again, grateful for you watching and all the conversations and shared feedback. It's great. So I wanted to do a quick video on healing. So like with everything, I believe that there's always an answer to everything, and being able to understand that, of course, helps give us an understanding of how to use that sort of knowledge. And when it comes to healing, so I'll share my thoughts on that and how I believe it works and everything. So, but throughout human history, there have been attempts to understand like healing and miracles and that sort of thing. Of course, with science, it's very grounded in knowledge, the progression of knowledge and technology and that sort of thing. Whereas healing is more, coming from the spiritual realms, or being coming from divine intervention or that sort of thing. We've attempted to understand when these things occur and why. So, and I believe in miracles personally, and healing and that sort of thing. I've actually seen them before. I'll talk about that in a minute personally. So, and I think it's really amazing stuff. But our attempts to understand, because it is possible. I think many people believe in that, and we all try to understand why and why these things occur when they do, because there's always an answer. There's just always an answer. So, and when it comes to a spiritual versus scientific standpoint, it's why doesn't my particular God or deity or pantheon, for example, allow for healing? And there's rules and ideas built around that sort of thing for a variety of religions. And some say it's possible, some say it's not. So in our attempt to understand these sorts of things. So and then in the realm of spirituality still, there's a lot of ideas and methods like Reiki, for example, is a Japanese art of energy healing. And then there's also like quantum healing, which is kind of what I want to talk about. I think is pretty cool. Laying on hands and that sort of thing. And it's about like channeling energy and being able to, affect the human body that way. So I think there's a scientific understanding and a reason behind these sorts of phenomena, and they can be understood and harnessed and even mastered, but we just haven't got there yet. And it's really the same thing as it's just a different way of approaching, if you think about it, healing and transformation. Science is one way, and then spirituality, I guess, that duality of science versus God, I suppose, or anything spiritual. Both, with the same idea in mind. I think both are possible. I think science is a lot more faster and practical. And if you think about it, we've come a long ways. A lot of ailments have been cured. Lifespans are longer. We understand diet, nutrition, health, mental health, and we have all sorts of surgeries and medications that can help prolong life, help with side effects, or help even like simple headaches. We could go to the store and take something for that now, and these things are studied and made consistently applicable to our day-to-day lives. So it's really the same idea. It's just we're harnessing knowledge and how to use it. So the way, from what I understand, okay, so just to kind of preface, there's two parts of all existence. There's the physical universe, and then there's the spiritual universe, if you will, or spiritual realms, which is the afterlife, which is where we're going to go when we, all of us die and cross over. So we're all going to enter infinity, where our souls and our everything else non-physical about us is preserved and maintained, and then we just carry forward life. carry forward with life. And but it's amazing, and there's so much more available to us. It is pure possibility. Infinite possibility is just the perfect way to contextualize that. Immortal life and health and joy and happiness. You can still choose to solve problems, or even sleep if you want to. You don't have to if you don't want to, or if you want to experience stress or anything as a learning process, or for whatever reason. Remember, all things are possible. We all enter the afterlife in a neutral, fair manner. So there is no heaven or hell, anything like that. Everything is preserved from the physical realms, and there's a perfect process in place, and then we just carry on, and our souls are immortal. It's a really cool idea. But that's how it works. That's my understanding of how it works, and there's a very clear separation between interaction and between the physical and non-physical realms. And really, the non-physical realms, they can't affect, and they don't on purpose. They try not to. The process of physical evolution. Evolution also occurred in the spiritual realms too. So there's physical and non-physical reality, of course, and we are made of both. And just like evolution did and can occur here, this is all physically evolved. This universe wasn't created. The same evolution occurred in the spiritual realms too, which is interesting. So there's like these two side-by-side versions of life unfolding. It's just that we're more limited here with our rules and just being part of the physical portion of reality. So but that being said, so for example, I have my car and I can't just make it go with my mind. That'd be great. You save a lot of gas money that way, but you can't really affect. We can't just manifest money. We just can't. Our thoughts do not immediately affect physical matter. So, in general, of course, our bodies are different. We can relax ourselves, or make ourselves happy, or that sort of thing. We're in control of our own bodies. But as far as physical things affecting one another, I think that's a great example. So our minds just don't create the reality physically. So everything evolved, and there's this massive, complex set of rules. Gravity, like gravity's real. We experience it. It's a very real law and rule that we've discovered of, trying to understand how things work. So there's this huge, it's like a big matrix of laws, physics, and everything just kind of works together. Along with our minds, of course, there's a non-physical portion to us as well. But everything just follows these natural rules. Now, but that doesn't mean that it's impossible for the mind to affect matter more immediately, beyond our simple understanding of it. So, and I think the answer kind of lies in really the nature, the fundamental, basic way that we view and experience reality. Without realizing it, we see and we hear and we feel, and everything is constantly just plugged into this big system of rules. And so we're just naturally a part of that. But at the most basic level, in quantum physics, they call, I hope I'm saying all this right, but about how this works. But at the most basic level, the most fundamental particle of all physical existence, I think it's a photon. I want to say it's a photon, which is like a packet of light. Whatever it is, if it's a photon or not, there's two basic properties that anything can have: a wave property and a particle. So a wave is when it's in its state of potential, and a particle is when it's more collapsed into its physical form, if I said that right. So it's more just pure energy versus settling into an actual definable form. So the wave is the potential, the actual energy, and then it condenses into a particle. And usually things display the qualities of one or the other. But at the most basic level of observation, when they were doing tests, they realized that the way you observed, the very observation or measurement of these observing these particles affected the outcome. So literally, human consciousness seemed to have played an effect or had an effect on the way the outcomes of these experiments happened, literally changing the outcome, the observed outcome. So, in other words, manifesting potential through expectation. And I think might be a good way to put it. And so everything is, and that's really what we're doing. Everything is energy, and everything is being observed based on the natural rules and laws they follow. But that's not to say, of course, if you expect yourself to wake up with a brand new car in your garage or $1 million on your table, that it's going to happen. So these rules are so complex and so interwoven with each other. It's just that sort of thing is just really impossible. But it is, I hate to even say impossible because you never know at that level. We're still trying to understand how these things work. But as far as healing goes, when observing, now, by the way, I took a really interesting seminar and course. This was like 15, 20 years ago. And it was called Matrix Energetics. And this guy from Washington State, he flew all over the world, all over the United States and all over the world, and did seminars and did this thing called quantum healing. And he kind of talked about all this stuff too, and how to shift, how to observe at the quantum level and measure change and manifestation through continued practice. And that's what I was mentioning earlier when I've actually witnessed this stuff. I think it's really amazing. So, and this guy was Dr. Bartlett. He's a certified chiropractor and a ND too, I think, naturopathic doctor of, or DC, a DC and an ND, I think. So, and I know this sounds amazing, but he did so he would explain things in chiropractic terms because that was kind of his specialty. But he explained the same basic duality and how to engage this mode of observation. And it wasn't, consistent all the time. It was kind of this new system he was developing. But he would actually, he would show people and, show their bone structure and that sort of thing. And then he would kind of talk about it while observing it and literally kind of do chiropractic work, make chiropractic adjustments without physically touching the person. It was really interesting. So, and it's that same real, at a basic level, the same idea I was just talking about. So, which scientifically makes sense. And why through the power of belief and maybe intent, people are able to experience miracles when they access this quantum level of reshaping or manifesting the same physical, being, but just shifting the other potential, shifting into the other mode of observation, the expectation being no more disease, no more ailment, that sort of thing. So, and that takes hold at such a fundamental level, all of a sudden, the observation shifts what you were experiencing, and then healing occurs. Could be gradual healing. I've heard stories about that sort of thing. I totally believe it too. And because I've seen it, I've experienced this sort of thing too, which is really amazing. So, or immediate manifestation. These things can just immediately adjust and just be done. Or, follow a natural healing pattern, over the course of the next few weeks, something that can take some time to play out. But I think that's the, whatever is occurring, whatever we're accessing at this level, this fundamental, most basic level of all there is, this space is this level, this space where our intent and belief and observation come together, and is where miracles and healing can occur, I think. So, really, it's kind of, to me, I think it's a good thing that these rules kind of hold everything into place. And this isn't to say, now I've had these conversations with my guides recently as this came up, and we've talked about it before too. But my opinion is that I think it's a good thing these rules are in place, because if you can imagine if our thoughts just affected everything, everywhere we went all the time, it'd be messy. So there's some utility in the structure of everything. And people just going around, because we go around wanting or believing stuff all the time and it doesn't happen. It doesn't make, we're not seeing these crazy things happen around us all the time. So it takes a very focused and applied and consistent method of being able to apply these things. And just like with science, it must be detailed and understood. Because even during the seminar I was taking, we were observing things occurring, but not even knowing what occurred quite yet, other than, oh yeah, my back feels better, or yeah, look, the spine is corrected, and that sort of thing. Could have been his knowledge or his intent interacting with theirs, because like with science, we don't just go, we just don't go up to someone and, like chiropractors, for example, and just like shove a bone and go, okay, well, how's that? They're trained. They know what they're doing. Just like with any medical field, you have to know what you're doing. And the information should be very robust and detailed, and being able to apply it in a consistent manner. So this whole experience I had was very basic and not quite understood. Even the guy who was doing it said, I don't know what happens, but I do know that it was, a positive change. So one might even say it could be dangerous to kind of play around at this level and really not know what you're doing. But I personally haven't seen anything negative come from it in my experience, but that's just my experience. Really, if people, even if people start like believing, oh, that's what I was going to say. So there's something between the dynamic and between the healer and the person being healed, because if you believe, nothing's going to happen and that sort of thing, and I've experienced this too, where healing or, that sort of thing doesn't work. And I've had it tried on me, didn't work. I've had it tried on me and it did work. And usually I was doubting it every step of the way, but sometimes I would be open to it. And I don't know, I didn't write this down enough to know if it was every time that it worked or I had an effect that I was more open to it. But our beliefs and our expectations can literally stop this sort of thing from happening. So I think the more you're open to it and open to this dynamic between the healer and the individual, you allow the potential of possibility to reshape itself and manifest. So I think that's a key part of it. That's not to say for everybody. I don't think, and this is what I was talking to my guides about earlier, is really, even if people change their beliefs and, like, say everybody in America changed the way they believe something. Like, hey, you wake up, $1 million will show up on your table. It's just, there's almost zero chance that this sort of manifestation out of thin air, it's just not going to happen. So there's still rules that played even in play. Like even when healing, you're taking the same physical material and just rearranging it. You're not like creating something out of nothing. It's more like manifestation and changing. So even if on a massive scale, we really started observing and believing things in a different manner, things aren't just going to start like melting around us and following our beliefs and intent, that sort of thing. The rules of physicality and science and that sort of thing are very powerful and very overriding for the most part. And again, I think that's a good thing. But it is possible. It is possible to create change using the power of the mind. Personally, I think it's amazing, and I think quantum physics is starting to understand this and harness it and that sort of thing. But I think that really it's not well understood and well applied yet to really be, it can be practical, but I would personally just err on the side of science and medicine, that sort of thing. It's more immediate, it's more understood. But as we continue to explore and understand and document and apply the power of consciousness and how this can be of use, I think there can be some great utility in that. But personally, I just don't see anywhere really where we're at that level yet, of understanding. But I think it's possible, and I think it's cool stuff. So I just wanted to share that and my thoughts and my own experience with that sort of thing. And I think that's literally the quantum at the basic level, whatever we're accessing. We're all in existence. That's an undisputable fact. Is it indisputable or undisputable? It's a fact. So, and there's a process in place that we're experiencing on a moment-to-moment basis, whether we realize it or not. So, and once we get down to that level, that's where I think miracles can unfold. So, I hope you found this interesting. I did. I thought it was pretty cool, and I love this sort of thing. And I think it gave me a greater understanding of how and why things work and don't work. And when in fact, I think many people have experienced things that cannot be explained, and this kind of helps give context to why and what is occurring during these moments. So anyways, thank you so much for watching again, and really appreciate it, and very grateful for everything again. I really do enjoy learning and sharing this sort of thing. So please take care, and we will see you later and see you in the next video. Thank you.